All right, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome to our first podcast episode on our platform, Primal Sutra podcast, guided Primal Sutra podcast, also known as the
Right,
GPS
right.
podcast. And we are live right now on YouTube with Ryan G, my co-host,
Yo,
co-founder of Primal Sutra. How did we
yep.
get here, bro? Like what
Well, let's
what
first start
led
with the
to this
name
moment?
GPS.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out a podcast name for this, and I decided, you know what? Let's forget about the old podcast name, Savage Summer Seminars, Triple S, and focus more on the lessons that we've learned from our last trip, and it felt very GPS like.
Mhm.
And Primal Sutra already has the PS, so I figured, fuck it, just go with the GPS.
Yeah.
And so it then becomes the guided Primal Sutra,
Yeah.
where the idea is that we informally connect with whatever audience watches just episodes. Um,
Right.
but let's start with, what is Primal Sutra for us?
That's a good one. Yeah. Mm.
Hmm.
Well, for me, man, it was very interesting how we came up with the name, and I typed it into Gematria. We found it was 888. That
Right,
was a very big revelation for us. We chose the name Primal Sutra very purposefully for our business.
yeah,
Well, it is a business, but also we consider it a movement. It's almost like a philosophy.
right,
So for me, Primal Sutra is fusing ancient wisdom with modern productivity. And we basically create a more grounded approach for spirituality and peak performance together.
right.
And it's different from like traditional self-help or traditional light worker groups because we cut to the chase. There's not much fluff
Right,
with us. You're gonna get what you pay for, and
right.
transformation is the name of the game.
Agreed. To that, I would like to add my vision for those that become adepts of Brahma Sutra is to become their own medicine man or woman of their tribe. That's how I see it. Everything what Uncle Makara Sumit has said is true, but I like to give an extension of the vision. It's what use is the occult knowledge and esoteric knowledge, etc., if it's not applied?
Mhm. That's right.
That's what I want to see, and I believe in the whole principle of mat time. The more you practice something, the better you get.
Yeah.
That's all it is,
It's
and
spirituality plus action, right? That's how we're going to harmonize heaven and earth together,
right,
is
right,
through making use of it, the actual spirituality, not just talking about it, going off into a cave somewhere, meditating for years, but not having that actualization, I guess you could call it, accountability,
right.
self-realization,
Yeah, I see what you mean. I
radical
mean,
self-expression. That's what we're all
w
about. I mean, we got inspired by Bruce Lee of all characters.
right,
Um, the mechanical instinct, right? You can't just be the mechanical man, and you just can't be the, you know,
right. That's
completely
why they
instinctual
decided
man.
on
Yeah,
the logo behind us. You have to be
yeah,
of both worlds. You must find your own center. You must find your own baseline, whatever that is, which is also one of the
absolutely.
things that we've learned back in New Zealand. But let's
Very recently. Yeah.
stop talking about the New Zealand trip and start focusing on why did we decide to start a new podcast series, Sumit?
I think we were doing so much on many different platforms, and
Right,
I think we wanted to bring it back towards our own kind of home base and build
right,
something from there. So we decided to start this new podcast, and we're going to be basically sharing a lot of modern productivity techniques with ancient spiritual knowledge as its backing. We talk a lot about different schools of thought, Vajrayana, Hinduism,
Right.
Buddhism, Christianity, different religions and schools of thought. We find the most practical approach to those and
Right.
help people to basically construct their own spiritual journeys.
I see, I see. And to add to that, we're also going to be inviting other speakers from other paths.
Yeah.
I'm still wanting to invite Brad from the New Zealand trip over. Like he has a lot of wisdom that should be shared and etc. Um, yeah,
Yeah, man, and I think one
yeah,
thing that helps us stand apart as a path working is we've always looked at flow state as the ultimate state of being, and we've almost made it a way for us to live our lives. Like we've made flow state not as a temporary state that you get into, but a
right.
lifestyle that you can optimize each day,
I
which I
see.
think is huge. It's huge, right?
I agree. I agree. The way I see it is flow state is merely a tool to be used by the person, aka the character wielding it.
Yeah.
I like to say it all begins and ends with character, like the
Mhm.
depth and quality of one. Because what use is the mystical powers if you're just another punk trying to use
Mhm.
it for whatever petty gains you're using it
Yeah.
for? Um,
This
if
is
one
why
thing that I've
masters
learned,
don't share their siddhis, you know, it's like it's a byproduct of you doing the path. But if you start talking about, look at how cool my level ups are, then you kind of lose the momentum in a sense.
I mean, it's nice,
It's nice in a
but
flashy way, yeah. It's like look at how far
but
my character has leveled up is cooler than saying, look at my
um,
XYZ external
uh,
accomplishment.
it's let's take an example from grappling. The moment I started to focus on my skills
Mhm.
instead of focusing on being flashy, the more I improved.
Yeah.
The more I focused on seeking out my limitations and trying to understand how my mind, body, and soul works or reacts, etc., the more I begin to understand, oh, this is who I am at the moment, and here's where I can improve. I must be willing to accept whatever hell that I've created for myself. And so, by accepting the hell that I've created, I must be willing to also camp there, right? Set up camp and build whatever fortress that I need to build in order to master the hell in order to get to the next level. And again, new level, new devil, so that's a continuous cycle. And so, what if it is? Such is life. Yeah,
Yeah, man. And I think that this is why we stress on character development and shadow work and
correct.
all of these different things, because we're kind of where mysticism meets the modern world in a sense. So
Ah,
we're a dance of energy as well as self-sovereignty,
correct.
selflessness as well as being ambitious.
Right.
So
Right.
we're not just light workers that are just kind of doing it for the sake of, you know, reputation or something. It's more about mastery for us. And it always has been about transformation and mastery, I think,
Yes.
has been one of the main focuses. We called this past event a metamorphosis. So that goes to show
Correct.
you that how dedicated we are to these alchemical concepts and so
Oh
forth.
yeah. Oh yeah. Of course I'm not going to talk about all of the things we did in New Zealand, but if anything that I've learned from what I've experienced from that trip is I've gained the most from understanding that two contradicting truths can be valid for me all at once. I like to follow the path of fire when it comes to getting things done. A lot of action. Go, 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 go. However, I've never considered the path of magnification, right? Where you sit and you just become the beingness of, the whole idea of you attract what you are. The R thus being becomes the frequency, thus you attract those frequencies.
Oh man, yeah, and it's 2025, so it's going to be all about who can hold the most ultimate frequency. It's just going to be a a
I,
battle
I,
of
I see what you
minds in a
mean. I
sense.
see what you
Yeah.
mean. I see what you mean. The way I've interpreted it, and that becomes like the base, one of the three pillars of my vision board I'm creating, still creating, is in order to be that base frequency, I must become aware of what I can shed, what is
Mm,
not of myself, what if not of my higher self, what is not of source, needs to be removed. I must
mm.
find what is authentically me, with an extra bonus of being able to work better with the spirit guides that I work with, etc., etc., etc. The
Yeah.
more disturbances there are within the orchestra that is your life, the less clear it sounds. And I want to make sweet music. That's what I'm going for. What is Primal Sutra's vision for 2025, Sumedh?
Hmm. Well, we want to step away from this kind of Newtonian worldview of just mechanisms and logic and structure and strategy. That is very important. And of
Okay.
course, we want to have cause and effect. We're stepping more into a paradigm that's rooted in synchronicities where spiritual athleticism can thrive. So I think that a lot of people see this spiritual journey like it's just, a walk in the park kind of thing. They're not really strapped up for this giant adventure. And
Huh.
so I see this year in Primal Sutra a merging of the alchemy of the shadows, the darkness, the white, the golden shadow, and the red, the tantra.
Right.
Um, so I see fully optimized priest and priestess beasts
Right.
and people being able to embody a state of flow, whereas earlier they might have had a more timid, docile, very reserved, introverted body language. I see our adepts and ourselves completely transforming in terms of our body language.
Right.
Um, that's one vision that I had, as well as I mean, we weren't just born in a vacuum, right? This was a culmination of many years
Yes.
from, my studiings into Buddhism or, plant medicine experiences or, spiritual roots tracing back to our own lineages, like myself, Hinduism, Rayanji, and Islam as well. We have
Mm.
some background with that. But at the same time, we fused this philosophy with productivity. So this is what we call peak performance shamanism. So it's
Correct.
about living mysticism, not as an escape, but it's a lifestyle of integration
Well
that we're
said.
creating.
Well said. This is never meant to be an escape. You can't, if anything I've learned from life is you can't run away
Mm.
from what needs to be confronted. In grappling, um, you can't escape from a shit position, right? But just because you escape doesn't mean there's not a new position to be addressed or a new situation to be addressed.
Right.
Same thing with confronting your employer, same thing with confronting bullies, etc. You must be willing
Yeah,
to, if it's needed for your harmony, you must be willing to confront the nonsense.
very true,
Absolutely
man.
willing.
Spiritual people hate that. They hate confrontations. They hate, going into things that where they get hit with backlash and so forth. So I
But
totally get it. It's understandable, but at the same
yeah,
time, yeah, you got to master your reality, man.
yeah, it is inevitable. You
Right.
must, you must. But yeah, you also spoke about the history of Primal Sutra.
A
You
little
want to
bit,
talk
yeah.
about that, right?
Yeah, yeah, let's
It's
talk
it's
about it.
it's
So
almost hilarious if you want
it's
if you look
funny to
back at
talk
it.
about it now, right, G? Because
Yeah, because
yeah,
everybody just kind of laughs at it, but it's true. Um,
we've
I
transformed a lot,
believe
let's just say.
from my perspective, it started when I was building different companies, trying to find something to do during, especially the lockdown period. And then I settled on for I don't know half a year, where we're pretty successful with the whole matches and the dates.
Yeah. It was the same time I started this YouTube channel that you started also exploring that. So, and then our worlds kind of collided.
Right, right, but let's follow chronologically because at the
Okay.
time I
Sure.
was building this program, so this company called Match the Date, where I would then help people,
Such
both
a
men and
such
women.
a practical name, matches into dates. So basically
It's the
like
yeah, yeah, just
so
to the point,
straightforward, yeah.
and that's kind of how I do my mysticism as well, just to the point. We have A, we're gonna get to B. We draw a straight line. Whatever obstacles are in the way will be obliterated in some form, and that's what I do. And um, during those MID days, I studied on the Frank White to understand ancestral healing and half packs that that he deemed that I needed. I'm thinking of definitely revisiting those packs this year, seeing I have two powerful packs. I won't reveal them just yet. Um, but you know who they are, Sumit. And during that MID program, we came to realize that even though people had the right tools, because they were being so heavily triggered by whatever past traumas, they were unable to use it as intended. And where it was initially funny to me, it just became, no, we need to figure something out. And that's when the Soul Eater program uh, was called into life, so to speak. And that's where I figured out, oh, there's a lot more to be done here. And the MID program felt so vain.
It was so great, man. Like we called it,
Yeah,
yeah, Soul Eater because it was like
yeah,
consume yourself to become yourself. And it
yes,
was this whole idea of like shadow work mastery. So
yes.
we would go
Shadowwork
so
Mastery.
deep into the shadows and we would
Yeah,
come out with some like
yeah,
goal on the other
yeah.
side of that program. So that's
So,
what we were doing.
and for those of you who already know us, probably already recognize this. I I'm the other side of the coin when it comes to this path working.
I think they realized it, right? I
Hyper
think
pragmatic. I couldn't give less of a damn about what your story is or your context. I just want to find
it's
out
like
what.
every right brain guy needs a left brain friend, you know what I mean? I think to
Yeah.
just balance out the hemispheres or
So a little bit
whatever.
of a joke, right? You don't notice of it. I like to play your videos on double speed, just to listen to
I
what you're
think
saying.
my girl was saying that too recently, so I think it's a very common thing that a lot of people do.
Like get the
They just,
knowledge and then
I do
move
that
on.
too. I love like just zooming, like speeding up videos because it's like, get all the knowledge at once or
Yeah,
whatever.
just
Yeah.
get it over with and then figure out how I'm going to use it.
Yeah, I
But
get
but
that.
yeah, um, the whole thing with the Soul Eater program had to do with what use is a candle if it doesn't burn itself. That's where it came from. All your stress, trauma, whatever can be used. You don't have to hold on to it. It can be a very potent teacher if you let it be. And where Shamit focused heavily on the light side, I then focus heavily on the shadow side because I believe it's the baggage that you carry that slows you down. Just today, I realized the more I surrender to whatever pain that I'm experiencing, in this case regarding missing New Zealand, my recent breakup, uh, missing my old team, of a previous client and preparing for a new team, and
Mhm.
just surrendering completely to whatever emotions come up and just feel as deeply as I can, even if it hurts like crazy, in order to release myself of whatever baggage. So that
There's no baggage on Kundalini Airlines, bro.
is exactly, you know. If you bust, you bust, you know, that's what it is.
Bruh, bruh. Everybody sing Happy New Year, y'all, in the
Happy New
comments
Year
from
to all.
Philippines. Yes. Hi, hi.
For the Philippines, we definitely something we should consider, man. Just where Primal Sutra headed as well as a movement. We're definitely looking for patrons and investors. My vision is to start going more functionally international. So where Uncle Makara and me as the spirit of Primal Sutra, I'll tell you later what that means. Um, we are already annually traveling the world, right? Like we started with Bali, then the next year we went to Costa Rica, then just last month we went to New Zealand to gain as much cultural and spiritual knowledge as we can and get the healing that we need. And this year it's either going to be Sedona, Stonehenge, very likely in June, or Peru/slash Egypt, depending on how things play out. Those are like our four options. A matter of
Yeah.
fact, I'm still considering Bali as an option or South Europe. It would
Mhm.
be super cool to visit Italy for
Yeah.
various reasons. And the reason why we travel is if you see life like an RPG, all these avatars grow in skill, in character, etc. when they travel from location to location. And it's true. You, as a mystic, must be willing to travel. There's a time to isolate and focus on your studies. Like, technically, what I'm doing right now is just isolating myself, focusing on redesigning my vision board, focusing on the things that I need to be aware of. Like, from the healers of New Zealand, what I've heard from is I need to be very cautious of temptation, me specifically. And by happenstance, I happen to have like a custom-made poster of Homer Simpson being devoured by himself and donuts, which is just while falling down. It's just you remember
That's
that
pure
poster?
temptation, right?
Pure
Yeah.
temptation, just being completely
Absolutely.
lost in it. That's like a warning of be if
Oh,
you are
yeah.
tempted, right? Is it that you are wanting to taste or wanting to completely give yourself to let's say sugar? Like right now, I'm just becoming aware of, okay, when does it come up? And it tends to come when I'm super tired or super frustrated, and I realize, oh shit, it's a coping mechanism so that I can push on or try to process stress or pain or whatever. Whereas I could just go to sleep or
Mm,
take a nature walk or take a dive in the ocean, but I'm not going to do that because it's winter time here. It's
mm.
stupid cold.
Hey,
But
Ryan,
yeah,
so we have some comments. So, should Guido smoke one last time before he stops smoking, before 2025? Or
this is my
should he,
opinion. This is my
yeah,
opinion. Uh, you can go smoke one last time and go cold turkey, or you change your relationship with smoking. To give you a story, it would be the first time I started smoking weed was with my second ex. I believe she was like a former model, etc. She taught me how to smoke weed. It was awesome. And then I got pretty addicted to, smoking weed and making out with a fine chick. That's fantastic. You know what I mean?
that's a lot of dopamine, bro.
That's a lot of dopamine. And after we broke up, it became pretty evident that I was using weed as a coping mechanism. And it became okay, I need to put weed in a position in my life where it doesn't have control over me. It is it needs to become a place of sanctuary instead of an imprisonment,
Mm,
right? I
mm,
don't need it, but I want it. That's a difference. So it then became finding ways to use weed in a more sacred way. And then via, Primal Sutra, I learned, oh, I can use weed to calm down my nervous system, let's say before a fight, because I grapple. I can use weed to. Could you turn off your camera for us? Thanks. Um, just a second, I'm losing my train of thought. As I can use weed as a way to pay tribute to different gods, etc., that I work with. And then it became more of a, how would you say this? Something I smoke either socially or in sacred practice. So I changed my relationship with it over time. So if you're willing to do that, that's cool. But you don't have to stop. You just give it a
mm,
different meaning. Let's say, I don't know if you want to pay tribute to Lord Shiva, but canonically, Shiva has introduced weed to the Indian pantheon, the Hindu pantheon. So that would be a great way to pay tribute. And who knows what boons you get from him. And when I do such an act, sacred act, it would be saying, Boom Shiva, take a sincere puff where I give tribute. And maybe 2 or 3 puffs later, I'm done. I put the joint away, and that's all I need.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, it's
assuming
very different if you're
that's
using it ritualistically and if you're
yeah,
addicted to it and you're
yeah,
using it as a dependence. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And so
Eh,
someone was asking, I
Uh,
noticed that when I shifted energy, I started attracting what I wanted to in my life.
Good. Congratulations. You have now entered that zone, that Goldilocks zone,
Sweet
The
spot.
spiritual G spot, so to speak. Yeah.
Spiritual G spot. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Trademark that, bro. Fuck.
Trademark that, right? Yeah. I was trying to think of a funny acronym, but it didn't work. Now the challenge is, can you stay in that pocket for as long as possible? That's going to be your challenge. And it's supposed to be a part of your path. Because now that you have reached that level of frequency, staying that frequency means knowing yourself very well and knowing what is not of you. And how you relate to what is not of you is going to be very important the coming weeks and months. It
Mm,
is
yeah,
being willing to either completely uh, reject some things and compromise where necessary because, you're not just a spiritual person, you also have to be material in some sense. You still need to eat, sleep, pay bills somehow. And this is something I'm going through as well. You also need to figure out how to make things part of your higher purpose somehow. Let's say I'm in a little bit of an ironic position where I am both a data professional, right, and a spiritualist. Two very hyper opposite paths. Like I'm a feeling logical man. They're not used to me. You know what I mean?
mm,
And a lot of and the irony is a lot of older uh, IT consultants become nature lovers later in life because they're just sick of the cold IT grind and completely want to reground themselves. And
I totally get that. Yeah.
if you look at it from a body perspective, it makes absolute sense because they're so, technically me as well, so in their head that they just get tired of it, of this monkey mind just banging away with solutions and not feeling into their body, and either they go into a burnout or they completely become these hermit types, you know, those nature
Yeah.
types of guys,
Because you're
servers and
so in your
whatnot.
head, right? And yeah, I get that, like totally, because
Yeah,
they want to ground themselves now back into nature because they've been
yeah,
around this
yeah,
metallic world their whole
yeah.
lives with cables and data wires.
So to conclude with his or her statement, absolutely perfect. I hope you can stay in that pocket. I just gave an example of that you might have challenges along the ways, and to reference Jocko Willings, good. The challenge that you will be facing is good. Now here's what you get to know yourself. In the face of fires where you get to know yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that, we stress this idea of deity yoga or
Ah,
guru
yeah.
yoga in a very different way. We call it character yoga.
Okay.
So essentially, when you're thinking of merging with a specific being, you're also taking on their certain attributes.
Correct.
Okay, so let's say that you want to be, let's choose Goku as an example. You want to
Okay.
be like Goku. Now you can do so many different things with that, visualization wise, right? You could
I
pretend
wish you could
to
eat like Goku.
see point of view of Goku. You can see him third person talking to someone. You could be
Sure.
his shadow,
Yeah.
maneuvering around him. Like there's so many possible variations that you could do,
Right.
but we're trying to find your resonant variation with
I
this
see.
image.
So the way I would explain it is if you the character are a frequency, right? Then you will attract not only situations that fit your frequency, but also energies that are aligned with that frequency. And
Yeah,
those energies highly likely tend to be your spirit guides. And I don't know whether I've coined the saying or someone else, but you never know who's backing you.
yeah,
I believe in that this these guides are a team of spirits that are there to help you. Whether they know of each other or of you depends on the context in which you find yourself. The if you evolve in consciousness, they will become aware of you. If you evolve in your frequency, they will become aware of you, etc. And they will reveal themselves, let's say during shroom trips, etc. What I'm seeking when it comes to both, yoga, deity, and character yoga, whatever I know, what I meant to say was DT yoga and character yoga is it's all one of the same. I'm aspects of them and they're aspects of me. If you have like a fractal, we are all of one fractal. We're just in different positions. I am of the human world, and they are of their own dimension, let's say. Let's take who came up a lot during the New Zealand trip. It was Akura for sure, came up
yeah,
constantly. Montu came up. Remember that night?
yeah.
Jin for sure, Gope, etc. And
Ruomoko near the end.
Kuromoko is indeed the I believe the god of volcanoes,
Yeah,
which I have questions for later this after this podcast. Uh, Ultimately, what we do with such practices is the combination of self mastery and getting to know our friends on the other side and creating true friendships where possible. Some and I understand where they come from, don't get me wrong. Some other pathworking see these beings as merely consultants. And I agree to an extent. They are experts in their fields and they should be employed as such. However, I am of the opinion, because it's worked out very well for me in the last three years, I believe, we've been doing
hmm,
this. Um, is because I have deeply desired true friendship from these beings, like sincere friendship, whatever that means in their world. I just got freebies because they're cool with me and I'm cool with them. And if they need a ritual just for whatever reason, I won't even ask for anything. Remember that
Mm.
time where you got a random SOS from an Atlantean being who we're very good with? I believe his name
Yeah.
is Sangiv, right? Uh, and I don't know why I had like 1 or 2 days where I was just being blasted by visions. And then I triple checked with Uncle Makara over here, and he said, "Yeah, the visions are correct. Let's see what we can do." And I remember doing what it's like a Primal Sutra patented ritual. It's basically a bowl of water and like a big candle in the middle.
Right. Oh, our OG rituals. Yeah.
An OG ritual, right? Like a
Yeah.
blast from the past.
Yeah.
And I remember lighting it and lighting a candle with a very specific intention to help this being because he had to, in essence, quell some disturbances in his realm.
Oh
And I
yeah.
remember the flame being very awkward, more awkward than usual, where it started with a spark, and the flame was just like was like a living flame breathing in and out,
Mm.
breathing in and out. And I said, you know what? It's
Mm.
past midnight. I'll check on it tomorrow. Only to be waking up somewhere like in the early mornings, like 6, 7 p.m. on a Saturday. My mom going, "Oh, the candles being weird," right? Because my mom loves the spooky stuff as well. And I said, just leave it. And then when I went into the kitchen where I like to do my rituals, she was right. The candle was being weird because it was like the candle just kind of imploded into itself in like three
Mm.
forms, and I've used that brand before. That brand doesn't do that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And still this living flame of extinguishing itself, barely coming alive, then flaming up again, just like
Mm.
it's breathing. Ah, it was very beautiful to see. So when I say you don't know who's backing you, I really mean that. I really truly believe that you, as the medicine man or woman, the shaman, the mage, the sorcerer, etc., once you have found your pocket and continue to do the good work that you are sent here to do or, believe you're doing, you will be rewarded. But it's not about the reward. Shit, it's not even about you. That's one of the things I've learned in New Zealand. It's about doing good as much as you can and letting good happen. Um,
Mm.
One movie I would recommend you guys watch is Klaus. It's a very Christmassy movie, but it's a quote that I like. Uh, Let a good deed spark a good deed. Something like that. That's
Ah, I
beautiful.
like that. It's like pay it forward kind of. Yeah.
It's just like pay it forward. It's like pay it
Mm.
forward. And that's what this series of podcasts will be about is us paying forward those of you who are seeking, pragmatic occult knowledge, whatever. We are here merely as a hub, a pause point of, okay, you can come to us, study with us, or study of those within our network. We grill the serpent, etc., and just do the good work that you've been put on earth to do. And shit, should you get into some, huh, how can I say this in the most PC way possible?
You don't have to, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully.
I
It's
know it's
true.
YouTube. We should be a bit
Huh.
careful, but
What was the words I'm looking for? Let's say this. Should you come across evil and evil is trying to compromise you, just reach out. That's all I will say about that. Any other questions in YouTube land or whatever?
yeah, there were I don't know if there were questions, mostly comments. So
Sure.
Guido saying, "Dang, so my spirit guide's making bets on my behavior like stakes."
Yeah,
Um,
yes, yes, they will take bets. Matter of fact, they will prank you. At least mine do. It's
it's all your nervous system, yo. Like if you
yeah,
have if you have a
yes.
really chaotic nervous system, they will add more
Uh
chaos to it. Like
uh
it's just
so
a
so
part of
so
the
so that's why I'm a big
parcel.
proponent of character development, and my character development lies heavily into, regardless of the situation, do you have the ability or the level of character to remain correct? To give an
Mm.
example of New Zealand, those fucking cops, especially the last time, which was so fucking unjustified. It was between driving 50 kilometers, and there was like literally like 100 meters. 100 meters! Fucking 100 meters. And I'm like, okay, between 50 and 100 kilometer, the 100-kilometer mark, right? Before you hit the highway, it's like 100 meters. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start speeding up. And within 5 seconds, man, there's a cop behind us. I'm seeing flashes. I'm like, oh, Jesus, maybe it's for us. And it was for us. I'm like, oh no.
The second time as well.
It's the
They
second
were
time.
so sneaky, bro. Honestly, though, like yeah,
Ah.
that was really uncalled for.
And I
Because they were
have to
placed in such
remain.
a
Yeah,
yeah
yeah,
random
it's
position.
called revenue hunting, apparently. It's a thing in New
Revenue
Zealand.
hunting, right?
And
Man.
I am feeling the injustice on the inside. But I figured, what is the highest possible quality of character that I can demonstrate? He has a job to do.
Mm,
From his perspective, I'm in the wrong. It is his job. From my perspective, this completely unjustified. However, I want to get this over with as quick and as effective as possible. And I'm trying to remember all the things that happened the last time, and I'm just finding it. Pop, 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 right? We got this done in like less than 5 minutes, and I'm being
yeah.
as
As we're
forthcoming
playing like Valhalla music on the
while playing
radio.
Valhalla music as well, which
It's
has to
so
be
wild.
such a shocker as well.
Imagine
And
getting stopped by police, right?
right, and we're
And just
just
like,
blasting Valhalla
and we're
music.
like, hum dum
Just
dum dum dum, you know?
it was Valhalla's calling me, and I'm being amped up, right? Because I'm completely just zoned in the music, right? And motherfucker, and I'm calming my nervous system by using breath work. While using breath work, I'm asking myself very simple questions like, what do I need to do to get us out of this nonsense as efficiently and as effectively as possible? Cool, he needs 1 2 3 4 5. Have all the information. Give me the pen and paper. I'll just write it for him. Pop, 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 pop. Done within 5 minutes. Even gave him a box or whatever it's called in English, and just bounced. And I could
Mm,
almost sense he was feeling guilty because,
yeah.
it's clear you're doing some shady shit with this money. Whatever. I was very willing to pay cash right then and there, but apparently we need to do it via system. And we later found out he might have even sent the ticket because I live on the other side of the world. And I'm just like, what was then the reason for you to stop me?
It's so stupid, bro.
And you need
But
to
yeah,
be this level of your character will be tested by your spirit guides, the local guides, God forbid, whatever else is available there, because the cop one was a very nice test of character. But then remember when we went to fucking hillbilly country? When we had to, roads were closed, so we couldn't take the main road, so we had to take the
that was freaky,
off-roading a little
man.
bit.
We can,
Exactly.
yeah, we can tell a little bit about stories, Ryan G, but I just want to get to this one question.
Okay, so to summarize, the evil spirits will test you too. Are you
Yeah.
can you handle temptation on all levels? So imagine you're driving 100 kilometers an hour. That would be roughly what, 80 miles, between 80 and 90 roughly, and
Mm.
you have like short corners, and you're seeing visions which are nightmarish in nature, and it's in between you freaking out and you trying to stay locked in while your stomach is turning. You are explaining the situation to your passengers, which is Uncle Makara and Pete Kirkwood from New Zealand, and Pete doesn't understand what's happening until I name his name and trying to explain to the local spirits both good, neutral, and evil, etc., and shadow.
I think they
Uh,
just noticed like foreigner entity like
yeah, yeah,
energy,
and just
and
going
they just like
crazy. Yeah,
started
yeah,
to like
yeah.
put on their
Yeah,
spooky alerts or
so
whatever.
much happened in that 1 hour of off-roading, man.
Yeah.
But we can talk about it some other time. But when I say everything comes back to character, that's those are one of the moments. I hope that satisfies his curiosity. Anyway, what's that thing you wanted to read
Yeah,
up?
so I'll give my perspective on it, Ryan,
Okay,
but maybe you can also speak on it. So someone was saying that I realized I'm too self-hating and project that onto others. Even my
okay.
good deeds are veiled behind irony. So, yeah, let's
Uh,
speak about a little bit around that topic of self-hate, how to handle self-hate.
uh-huh. Oof, shit, you want me to start? Okay.
Well, you're the shadow worker, bro.
Yeah,
Fucking,
so
you know.
oh my God, this is shadow work all over it. It's not that you hate yourself. It's that you've come to realize that you need to change your relationship with you. That is the principle that I'm applying when I realize or I'm aware of I'm self-hating, I'm self-sabotaging, etc. It's the first step is become aware. If you can become aware of what's happening, you can solve the problem. If you're not aware, the problem cannot even begin to be to be solved, right? Um, in becoming aware, you must be willing to take a step back and observe. Allow the self-hate to happen, and ask yourself, while observing, what is it trying to teach you? For me, for the last few days, coming back from New Zealand, the self-hate slash depression had a lot to do with me changing my environment, me realizing I've changed so much in, let's say, less than a month of vacationing, spiritual vacationing, I guess, that I need to change my environment. And then I realized, oh, I don't want to be that guy anymore that just lives in unorganized chaos. No, we need to reorganize what's happening here. And then I
I
have to
had the same thing
confront.
happen.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hate it
same
so
thing
much.
happened,
I hate
bro.
it so
Yeah.
much
Oh
because
man.
how can I allow myself as a high vibrational being to live in a low vibrational room? That doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
Or
It's a
environment, etc.
subconscious thing.
It's
Yeah.
so it's and while my parents should help me clean my room and the house, I'm hating every second. I'm still not done. I hate it so much. It just gnaws in my insides. In the same breath, I hate the fact that I have to do dancing again, even though I've been dancing for years. I've only left it for like 5, but I've been dancing from 11 to God only knows when. But it's in my rejection of, the vainness
Mm.
of dancing where I chose something more tangible like grappling. Is the irony of, if in order for me to continue evolving, I must reintroduce, you know, how would you say this in a nice way? The femininity of my character, the
Yeah.
sensualness, being less logical and more feeling in order to reawaken my own creativity. It's like, oh, isn't this funny?
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like the
need this
yang
again.
needs the yin for support,
Yeah,
right? And vice versa. So,
and I'm pretty scared to redo it because I'm like, oh shit, I just broke up and now I need to do this, and the guides are telling you to do this because they see that it will be good for you. It's like the medicine that you're not willing to swallow because even though it's good for you, it is bitter as hell. And it's in such moments, where you need to face the fire, and it's such moments where while you're hating, you. There's as much potential to love yourself again, to be in admiration of yourself again, because it's mainly a spectrum. The
Yeah.
situation hasn't changed. You technically haven't changed. It's in the way that you relate to yourself, your situation, your environment, the people around you. That's where you can change. It's what the Stoics say, what's in your control, what's not in control, you know? I cannot change the fact that people see me as, how would you say this, as this shadowy figure. Nobody really understands me, right? Which is one of the reasons why my ex's family didn't accept me, is because I'm quote unquote not a light worker or whatever, not fluffy, etc. I'm like, yeah, because that's
Not
not my
fluffy
style.
enough. Bruh.
Can, yeah, I mean, this something like this has happened before where I was dating a girl, and out of all the things that I've said, the deal breaker was that it was spiritual. I was like, what do you even want from a guy? Right?
That's messed up. Yeah.
Yes,
That's really messed up.
so it then
Like
became like a
everything
run,
is spiritual technically in a certain way. So it's like you're
technically, right?
rejecting like a whole fucking invisible part of life. Yeah.
So
But
then it became a joke, right? So I gave you hickeys on your titties, but out of all the red
it
flags
buzzed
that
for me
that
when you said that. It doesn't allow you to say that word, Ryan G. Yeah, okay. That's funny.
ah, yeah. But
But you remember,
hopefully,
Ryan G, during the time when you had a epiphany and you said everything is a teacher.
yes, it was,
Remember that
yeah,
time?
yeah.
So, like, I'm thinking
So I
about this
was,
whole self. Well, wait, let me explain this, Ryan.
yeah,
So, this whole self-hate topic,
yeah.
if you see the self-hate as a teacher, it's
Uh,
completely gonna transform your
right. In
experience.
the same way,
How is the
you,
strength
yeah,
in disguise in a
yeah,
certain
yeah,
way?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because what if the hate is a kid throwing a tantrum, right? What is this kid
totally.
trying to tell me or teach me by telling me something or throwing a tantrum? It's like it's so frustrated with the situation that it has no choice but just fucking throw a hating tantrum, like I hate you, blah blah blah. Ah,
Mm,
I wish I was with my mom or whatever, blah blah blah. You never let me do this, because it doesn't have the language yet to connect with you. Where actually decide
mm,
to, become aware of it, observe it, sit with it, and just ask it, so what are you really trying to say? And if I tap into
mm,
any self-hating emotions, it's mostly like, when are you going to take your self-care more seriously, more professionally? Because we've done that before. When are you going to take your weightlifting serious again? Because we've been in that situation and it's helped us massively in martial arts, in the dating scene. It's helped us in health. Like, remember the time where I had to completely stop with grappling because my knees were gone? And by finding the right people, my knees are back and I can do the things that I do. And now it's the same thing for dancing, etc., 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 right? Yeah.
yeah.
It's so then it becomes the principle of shadow work. Are you willing to sit in a room of your shadows, with your shadows, and be present with them, even though it sucks balls? And it's going to. Trust me, it is absolute bullshit. But if you're
That's why
willing,
nobody wants to do it either.
oh, it's
Like,
awful.
it's
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 awful.
that bad that you're just like, yeah, I'd rather
Oh,
do
it's
anything
awful.
else. Like that's what it is.
It's awful. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to go there,
Sit in the fire because we are firemen.
yeah, it's Teddy Atlas.
Yeah.
It's the whole, fuck, I forgot the quotes. It's so corny, but he's right. We are firemen. We are here to tame the fire. We are here to stay with the fire. We are
We
here to
paid for
control
this.
the fire. We are going to put the pressure on the fire until the fire is no more, because the fire
Yeah.
has been satisfied. And that's what the shadow is. The shadow self is merely there to teach you all the ways that you can still grow, man. You cannot
Mm.
ignore the shadows. And that's why I am coined as the Shadow Shaman of Primal Sutra. I'm also coined as the Spirit of Primal Sutra. I am first in and last out. I will stay with the pain until there's no pain. So either I've become the pain, or there was never a pain to begin with. Who knows?
Ooh. Yeah. Slow
Yeah,
motion
so I
this
hope
way,
that,
slow motion that way.
exactly. Any other fun statements or questions?
Someone says self-hate and feeling fucked up gets me really creative, so I see it as an opportunity to reinvent
Good.
myself.
Actually, a proof of
That's
that,
dope.
but be aware that, kind of what happened to Van Gogh,
Van Gogh.
that as because he's a Dutch guy, not some Frenchie. Van Gogh, my ass. Anyway, I don't know why that came up. But if self-hate is what is required for you to get creative, then so be it. What I want you to be very cautious of is when it becomes self-destructive. That is
And
a fine
it
line.
also can like seep in through, yeah, like you said, it's a fine line, right? It can be through like little self-deprecation where it seeps in, but it's like, oh, it's still there, you
Be
know?
careful. Be
Yeah.
careful because it was a time where instead of self-hate, it was just an unsincere want to hurt my trainings partners. There was a period where definitely when I started to learn leg locks, it was just a sincere want to snap someone's leg off. And like 2, 3 years later, I realized how absolutely immature that was. In the same vein, or the same line, looking at competition is it's the same thing. If I can get him to tap, that's good enough, man. I don't need to hurt my opponent. But then again, if that's what his intention is, okay, I guess this is what this is the kind of fight we're having.
Well, we had
So
this quote in Primal Sutra when we first started. It was called "It's showtime all the time."
it's showtime all the time.
Yeah, because
It's
there's
showtime all
no
the time.
hiding, there's no seeking. It's all right here.
Yeah.
It's always been
The
now.
teeter is now.
Theater is now.
The teeter is now.
Enchante.
So again, if this is what you require to do whatever art that you're performing, so be it. I'm just saying, uh, you know,
Presence over performance, though. You know what I
uh,
mean? Like a lot of people
dating a
spend.
pretty girl means dealing with pretty girl problems. That's what it is. Pros and cons, man. Pros and cons. The deep con would be for you is it's gonna leak into other aspects of your life, like your hygiene, your relationships. You might become the frequency of self-hate, so will be attracting entities that represent that. So I'm just saying be
Yeah. Be sharp, be
have
cognizant, you know?
yeah, and maybe also ask what the self-hate is trying to teach you. That's all I'm asking. That's all
That
I'm
was
asking.
exactly my advice is to, because if you look at all of this art out there, right? A lot of it came from pain. And that's
Yep.
why it's bogus to me when some people are like, just follow the highest vibration. Like, that doesn't always get you the result at times. It's like,
I mean, what
it
the highest
does, but then
vibration
it's also, there's
does,
such a nuance to that that you can't
yeah,
just say that like a blanket statement and expect all these law of attraction people to just sign up for your
I mean
course.
it helps, but it's the same thing as, you have a shitty car, and you're on a dirt road and you put a shitty car on a highway, a high-tech highway,
Yeah,
you're still in a shitty car, man. As long as you
yeah.
don't fix the car or start addressing or finding out what's wrong with it,
Spray painting poop gold, yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
shit.
All right, man. I think we should end it here. I think the audience is loving this format. A
Are you
lot of
sure there's no
comments.
other comments? It just if you
There
can
are, man.
scroll.
There's a lot of comments. You want me to go through them?
Yeah,
Okay.
speed read them or something, because I can't see them from my end.
Okay, so Uh, let's see here. They decided to let us go at the end because we were still in college at the time. Oh, that
Okay.
he's talking about his experience being like caught smoking weed and then bumping
Ah,
Tinashe 2 or something. It was similar to cops pulled it over.
okay.
Um, I wasn't my girlfriend saying I wasn't accepted by my ex-boyfriend's parents either. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Self-hate and feeling fucked up really gets me creative. So I see it as an opportunity. Oh yeah, I just read that one.
Okay,
Last
okay,
one he
okay.
said is it's not really a requirement, it's more of a shit, what do I do with this self-hatred? I'll channel it into something
Ah, good,
creative.
good.
Yeah,
Approved, approved.
approved, man. And that's the thing about flow state too. Like I always thought that because all these coaches would tell me like, find your flow, find your flow. And I would never channel my flow. So now it's like how do I find the state of being? I
Right,
have to tap into it, you know? So
right,
it's like I got so in my head trying to be in the flow rather than just being in the flow. So that's the
right,
thing. It's like, what do I do with this self-hatred? No, you just gotta, move with it like a
right.
fucking, Play-Doh. Move with it. Just,
Correct.
interact differently with it. And then your relationship with it will change.
It ultimately, so if you want to break it down to a formula, it becomes what do I need in order to reach flow? For me, it's sometimes it's dancing. I literally just if I have a moment where I just can't figure something out, I
Improvise
close my
dancing.
laptop,
Straight up.
right, put on some music, take a walk, just do some random dance moves while I'm walking in public, whatever, just crip
Nice.
walking or something, and just I'm having fun. I'm saying hi to locals or whatever. Maybe I'll flirt with someone, and I'm back within half an hour, and suddenly it just pops, I'm just
Yeah.
writing code or writing
I actually have
documents.
a technique like that, Ryan, where I call it the POV music video. So like I'm walking through the town or whatever, and I
Right,
feel
right,
like
right.
I'm the center of the music video, and then I'm meeting all
Ah,
these people. And it's like it kind of helps me to maintain
I
that
see.
optimization,
Uh,
that focus again with that
I
visualization.
I love very upbeat music. Like remember in New Zealand, I was playing like very
Bro,
upbeat rave
yes.
music,
Actually,
right?
my girl was sharing that with me too. It's called hyper pop or something like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
hyper pop is that genre, but we found a
Ah,
fairy trap and you found a
yeah.
siren something trap.
And I wasn't really impressed with the Siren Trap. I mean, there was some
But
nice
the hyper
music.
pop, yeah, it's next
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
That upbeat music is like
Very upbeat, very happy.
can't stop
And
raving. I
if
can't
you,
see.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And I mean, if you're driving 3 to 6 hours back to back, you better have something upbeat, man, because
Yeah.
I can only listen to, Linkin Park so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
try
nice.
so hard. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and it was
Absolutely.
we listened to it like once and was like, okay, now something more upbeat because this is gonna
Yeah,
just kill
yeah.
us.
Guido says good
Uh,
vibes. Yeah.
yeah, man. So ultimately, to summarize what is Olvin about is using the technology pragmatically in order to create a better life. Not a better life for you, merely for you, but because you have a better life, others have a better life too, either by osmosis, either by principle, either by example,
By
whatever.
proxy, yeah.
By proxy, and that's what I stand for. I might not be the greatest grappler in my lifetime, or the greatest dancer, or the greatest mystic, whatever. But I can be the greatest version of myself because I choose to be. I
Yeah.
mean, during the New Zealand trip, it became pretty apparent that um, I could have been a very evil human being. I won't get
Yeah.
into too much details, but it has a lot to do with in the way I was conceived and born, and just the way things had that have been set up. I could have become like a complete dick and just ruined people's lives,
It was
but I
interesting how we
chose.
both had people kind of like entities trying to manipulate our births, and but we still
Yeah,
ended up like connecting somehow.
yeah,
And
and
like we met in
that
limbo, like
yeah.
of all
Well,
places.
and that's why I focus so heavily on character. Listen, it doesn't matter whether I have mystical powers or not. Can I do the right thing? Do
Right.
I have the level of character to do the right thing? even though it hurts, even though it might be bullshit, even though it sucks balls, or even though it's unjustified, etc. Do I have the level of character to do the right thing?
Right. And it's like difficult for you to make that decision now, but it's even more difficult that you've been holding on to this for so long. Like
Oh yeah,
it's come to a point where you need to like take care of it. And so you have to
yeah,
find the best way possible and may the best you
yeah.
win.
I made the best you win, indeed. I mean, I don't necessarily say it like that, um, but it is that. It is truly that.
I'm gonna do it
Whoever.
differently this time. Remember, Ryan G, when I paused the Brad's
Yeah,
face.
well, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna do it differently this
yeah.
time.
I was, it was so random that you said it. It's like, okay, man. It felt like some sort of weird Cocomelon episode. I was like, okay, that's random. Meanwhile,
All right,
Brad
let's end
appeared.
the episode here. We've gone a little bit further on,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, let's tap in, guys. Thank you so much. This has been our first
Indeed.
episode on this new format. Hope you guys enjoy this.
Correct.
Love the questions. I love the interactionism. Interactionism. I don't
Sure.
know. Sure. Interactivity. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. Join the
I definitely
Telegram
guess.
group. May you never be the same again. Spiritualmasterychallenge.com. Go
Ah,
check
yeah,
that
yeah.
out. We have
Go check
our
it out.
product dropping, and
And the
it's for
best news
free.
is free. Yeah. Okay,
It's for
get to
free.
know the technology for free.
Just
Yeah.
get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Primal Sutra Mystery School.com for those
Yeah.
really, really committed. Let's get
Yeah.
it.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. That's for sure. And sign up to the Telegram. It's free too.
Totally, totally.